And have you slept with a father and son at the same time?
Yes, yeah. I think that's brilliant. Like to have that much of a good relationship with your son, or, you know, for the son to have that much of a good connection with their dad, I think it's fantastic. Too many people, especially 18-year-olds, I know when I was at school, would argue with their dads or wouldn't have a good relationship with them. I think to have that much of a good relationship that you can come with your dad to sleep with me is fantastic.
Yeah, see, this is where it's either you and me are on a completely different page, or it's just generations, because I think the father needs his head kicked in for that.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I know you think that, but I think that is one of the most outrageous things I've ever heard, and he needs his fucking head checking.
See, I think it goes back to, I know if I had kids, I'm thinking, okay, my son's having sex regardless. Do I want them to have sex in a safe, controlled environment with someone like myself, or someone that's not tested, you know, has been drinking beforehand and there's been no checks done? So naturally, as a dad, I think, no, I'd much prefer them to see a sex worker like myself. And the dad is just a guy himself. And if he wants to be pleasured and have fun in the bedroom, he deserves that as well. So
with his son.
Yeah, so I think why not?
That's
if you've got a good connection.
Fucking nuts.
Take me from both ends.
It's not just stuck in my mind, it's blown my mind.
Yeah.
So I just want to...
Has it blown your other end as well?
No, just my mind. But I want to reverse it. Mm-hmm. So that father and son act,
yes,
that both had sex with you at the same time, which I think is fucking disgraceful. Mm-hmm. Pure and simple. You don't. No. You thought it was a beautiful thing. Would you share somebody with your mum or your dad?
No, I never want my dad to see me, you know, or my mum like that. That's just my personal opinion. It wouldn't turn me on. So it's all down to communication and what turns you on. So yeah, it wouldn't be for me personally. It wouldn't turn me on. However, seeing how much they enjoyed it, that was brilliant for them, and I loved giving them that service. And
so for the record, you wouldn't let a man have sex with you and your mum at the same time?
No, because that won't turn me on or get me wet.
Yeah. For me, there's no ifs, buts or maybes. That is warped and deranged behaviour, and the geezer needs a slap. But talking about safety, let's talk about your safety for a minute.
Yes.
How do you feel about your safety? Have you ever been in a position where you haven't felt safe?
There's definitely times, say if I'm looking at the hate online, so I'm receiving hundreds of death threats a day that you think, wow, okay, this is becoming a lot. But in terms of in-person hate, it has not yet happened. And it's going to at some point. But no one has come up to me to give me hate. No one has ever tried to hurt me in person. So I've never felt unsafe from that point of view. I've always had security and I guess help if I've needed it. And the people that queue up to sleep with me are people that have the utmost respect for me. And they want nothing more than to give me a good time. I want to give them a good time. So the people that are there are fans, subscribers and followers. They're not your middle-aged Karens.
Well, you know, you said at the start you was quite naive and vulnerable. Not vulnerable. You was naive to the whole industry 100%. And you sort of navigated yourself through. Do you think maybe you're being naive in the sense that you think everyone that turns up has got good intentions?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely the chance. There was a time recently where there was 23 guys. I wanted to do a big video with all of them. And actually at the end of that, I had things taken and robbed. And they had come back later that day to take more things, well, later that evening. But luckily, because I'm a bit of a slut, a group of guys had already stayed behind for me to sleep with again off camera. So when these other guys turned up to rob me further, there was already other people there. So I'm definitely learning, and I'm learning every single day. So yeah, partly I can be naive when it comes to safety.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just slip this in there before we carry on. Like, be fucking careful and keep your eyes and ears open, because there's some real bad people out there that masquerade as 100%. Good people. And I tend to find that, I mean, not everyone that's highly sexed, but, you know, you get your Neanderthal highly sexed man that they're kind of different from the rest. Yeah. And they think differently, and they perceive women differently. Like not everyone that's going to sleep through the net is going to have respect for you. That's a fact. So yeah, really do be careful, because you don't need me to tell you this, but I've got a lot more life experience, and I've come across some really, really terrible people, and I wouldn't feel like I was doing my job sitting here with you and not saying, whatever you do, please be careful, because it's a fucking cruel world out there, and you're now going to be traveling the world doing what you do, meeting new people. You've got to retrust them. I
think the thing is that I never want the hate to win. I never want the death threats to feel, if I start giving and thinking, you know what, I'm not going to share my location online anymore because I've received too many death threats, it's sort of saying, encouraging death threats, saying, oh, you know, if you don't like someone, or if you don't want someone to continue doing what they're doing, give them more death threats because it'll get to a point where they can't handle it and can't take it. Whereas I'm never going to stop. I'm going to show, just because you've given me death threats, just because you are pathetic, I will not let that mean I'm going to shy away or not allow myself to pleasure the people I want to pleasure because you're sat at home giving me hate. So all I'm going to do in future is like up security, make sure I'm super safe, make sure I'm more alert and I'm aware, you know, of the hate I'm receiving. But it will never get to the point where I'm going to stop.
You said that when you finish filming scenes,
yes,
with multiple men, that when the cameras are off, you continue having sex.
Sometimes, yes. You know, sometimes the on camera is for work. Sometimes I want to continue. If I find them overly attractive or there's a connection, I want to have some boring spooning position sex afterwards off camera.
So would you say you was a sex addict?
Not an addict. I enjoy it and I enjoy receiving pleasure and giving pleasure, but
you don't think you're a sex addict?
No, I wouldn't say so. An addict implies something which is bad for you or something you need to, you know, stop doing. But
okay, you sex obsessed.
I'd say I'm obsessed with sex, yeah. It's something I think about when I wake up, I think about when I go to sleep, and I'm thinking about it half the time throughout the day.
So when you've done these marathon sex scenes,
yes,
and then the cameras go off and you continue these sex scenes, well, they're not even scenes, they're just, you know, sex that you want to have. Are they fueled by any substance?
No.
Completely straight, completely sober?
Substances in like Viagra and stuff?
No, I'm thinking more Class A drugs.
Oh, you know what? I've never done it. Never even touched a cigarette. It's just never been for me.
I'm glad you've never had a cigarette. Okay, so you're having marathon sex sessions completely and utterly sober as a judge.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about your parents. I think we've got a good idea as to what you do for a living.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we're going to talk financials. So people that are sitting there thinking, what must you be earning? We'll touch base towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Your dad. You are his little princess. In his mind, I would like to think you are still his baby.
100%, yeah.
Because he supports you, doesn't he?
Yeah, completely.
Which is fucking nuts.
It's not when you break it down. He's a dad that wants me to be happy. He sees I'm happy, therefore supports me.
Yeah, let's break it down further.
Yeah.
The first time you told him that I'm going to be having sex on camera for money.
I didn't tell him. A video got leaked to my mum. My mum then had the conversation with my dad. I then had the conversation a few weeks later.
So your mum got sent a video of you having sex with someone?
Yes.
Wow. How did she approach you?
My sister told me, she was like, Mum's found out. Mum knows what you're doing. Because I told my sister probably a few days before this, but this was still very, very early on. I'd only been in the industry, I think, about 2 weeks at this point. So I was always going to tell them. Always had a good relationship with them, but I'd only just started. So I just wanted to understand the industry a bit more myself because I couldn't go and tell my parents like, hey, this is what I'm doing. It's a really safe environment. This is the situation when I was still learning myself. So I was always going to tell them. Obviously, someone else leaked a video beforehand. So my mum thought I was either forced into it or I had money problems. She, you know, just like most parents, didn't understand to start with.
And you've not got any problems? You've never been on any meds or been depressed?
No. Been like unhappy in the past, but more just like stressed with work, thinking, is this all life is? You go to work, get given, 22 days annual leave and you're controlled and get no freedom. Unhappy from that sense, but never to the point where I've ever been depressed.
Have you ever considered the fact that sleeping with hundreds of men is self-harm?
No.
Never crossed your mind?
Harm is something which hurts. Sex is something which pleasures.
Also, self-harm is something you do when you want to clock out of something that you're consciously in. Have you thought of it like that?
Yeah, but there's nothing I'm either trying to distract myself from or bury or, get away from.
You're not trying to escape anything?
No, people think there is. And I wish I could tell them some sort of crazy story and then it'd probably think, okay, this is why she does what she does. It is as simple as I enjoy it, I have fun and I am happy.
Yeah, my mind is blown because I would expect... By looking at the work that you do and looking at the backlash that you get, I would think that I would be sitting opposite somebody that is visibly and noticeably damaged.
Yeah.
And you don't seem that at all. Unless you're a really, really good actress, you seem like a very normal young lady.
I am. And I use the word normal. I'm like, I'm just a normal person, but I shouldn't even be using that word because what I'm doing yes, it isn't perhaps the usual, but it is normal. You can just be like myself and enjoy sex and talk very boldly and proudly about it. But you sort of think you have to justify, like even when I say, oh, I'm a sex worker, but I'm nothing like that. Even I put in judgment on him by saying that. I'm saying like, oh, but I'm not like other sex workers. Like there is nothing wrong with being a sex worker, but sometimes the way I defend it implies there's something to defend, whereas really I need to stop defending or getting my, defense up sometimes about it, because it's like I should just be proud about it, speak about it, and not even have to waste time in a way, defending it to perhaps people in the street or strangers.
Is the backlash normally from older people?
Oh, 100%. If you've taken an easy route in anything, I always think the older generation sort of think, oh, well, you took the easy route. We was not put on this world to suffer or to make, you don't get an extra medal at the end of life to go, well done, you picked the hard route. As long as you're happy with the route you took, that's all that matters.
Let's go back to your dad.
Yeah.
If I had a 25-year-old daughter and she come up to me and said, Dad, I've got, in fact, he didn't find out that way, but let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if my 25-year-old daughter come up to me and said, Dad, I'm making a living in the sex industry.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, what do you actually mean by sex industry? How far are you willing to go? If my daughter said, well, I'm going to sleep with hundreds of men in one sitting, and again, I don't feel comfortable even speaking as graphic as this, but, do they finish? Where do they finish?
Wherever they want. As long as it's not inside me, because I've got to wear a condom, but they can finish on my face, my arse, wherever they want to finish. If they finish in the condom and want to rinse it on my face afterwards, they're welcome to. I like them to be in control of their pleasure and what they enjoy. So if they want to finish on my face, my arm, or wherever they want to do it, it's up to them.
Okay, so with your dad knowing all of that, it would break my absolute heart, and I just wouldn't know what to do, who to turn to, or even how to make sense of it. Do you think your dad has made sense of it, or does he think he doesn't want to upset you because you're his princess?
He has sort of made sense of it. And like I said, which is hard to believe because people like yourself wouldn't agree with it, nor would you want, if you did have a daughter, to do it. But it goes back, and I know I've said it multiple times, he sees that I'm happy. He sees that I enjoy it. And that's all that, that's all that he really cares about. Would he choose this job for me? Probably not. Would he think, there's a list of job titles, pick which one you wouldn't want your daughter to do, and it'd probably be this one. However, the more he learns about it, the more he's actually fascinated, or he finds it interesting, and he sees people that come up to me in the street, and they're like, hey, Bonnie, can I have a photo? And he's like, oh, I'll take the photo for you and stuff. And he really is, obviously he does see the backlash, and he definitely doesn't see the bedroom stuff, but he also sees the benefits from it. He sees how happy these people are when they come up to me. He sees the fact I'm happy, and that's all he's focused on.
And so your dad's never said to you or said out loud or to anybody that he feels like he's failed as a father because his daughter's a porn star?
Definitely not. It's the complete opposite. He is proud, and he sees how happy I am. And the biggest thing in life is having freedom and flexibility. My dad has worked his whole life, worked 2 jobs for what? All you're going to do is retire at the end of it. You get given the same amount of annual leave. Whereas when he sees his daughter breaking that mold and breaking, like I said, my family have always had a bit of money, but never to the point of, if you're sick, you've got to go into work. Sorry, Dad, you've got to miss Christmas again this year. You've got to go to work. He now sees the freedom and flexibility I have, and is nothing but proud, thinking, wow, I'm not living the same, like going to work non-stop, working for someone else, being dictated by someone else. He's like, wow, she's independent, earning good money, and she's happy.
What about your dad's friends? What have they said to him?
Just checked in there to see if I was happy. Am I okay? And that is it.
Have any of your dad's friends watched your content?
I don't know.
I would guess that they have.
Yeah, probably. They've probably had a look, just like probably a lot of people have. But they become intrigued and want to see it. But who knows? He probably had a wank over me before I did this anyway. So.
Your dad or his mates?
No, of course, his mates, not him.
I mean, you say of course. I mean, it's like nothing's off limits by the sounds of things. It's blown my mind. And your mum, she's cool with it? And she's never had like a sex work background?
No, there's so many rumours going around saying she's a paid actor. She went on a podcast with me recently. Oh, she's an ex-sex worker, or so many different things. But no, she's always just done, she's a childminder at one point, has done different cleaning jobs, worked in a jewellery shop. Always been mainly like a stay-at-home mum and focused on me and my sister.
And what kind of money are you making?
A lot. I last month hit $500,000 in 30 days. And this month's looking like it could be 750.
That's no joke.
No joke.
And do you fund your parents now?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think your dad bites his tongue because he's living a lavish lifestyle now?
No, completely not. He's worked his whole life and, you know, even though he's not perhaps enjoyed it, he's always been happy to and he's got a brilliant work ethic. But now that I'm earning a lot of money, it seems silly to not, you know, I want to help my family. I've got a close relationship with them. So I'm not going to be here earning absolutely millions and saying, you know, to my parents, hey, go to work.
Mm. And how do you feel like your life's changed since you started this sex journey?
Completely. In just about every aspect, it's hard to put into words how much my life's changed for the better. I've got so much freedom, flexibility. I'm a millionaire. Even silly things, like when I used to go shopping in Selfridges, I thought it was a terrible experience. It was so busy, crammed, hot. Now you get, you know, picked up, you go into a VIP lounge, you get drinks brought to you, you get champagne, your clothes are brought to you. You have a stylist, your clothes are altered there and then for you and dropped off at home later on. And in just about every aspect of my life has changed for the better. And are
you recognised everywhere?
Yeah, a lot of places.
What men are on your hit list that you'd like to sleep with?
I've never been fixated. You know, even when I was young and people usually have a like celebrity obsession or they're like, oh my God, I adore this person. I've never had that.
𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐿?
No, I tell you who, you won't have watched it. There's a series called
Sorry, Eamon.
Emily in Paris, and he is this mixed race guy and he is very, very attractive, but I don't know his name.
I know we're against the clock. You've got an appointment to go to after this.
Well, it's actually just to have sex with a girl, but yeah.
Do we know this girl?
Yeah, she's blonde, hot, and from Love Island. Did you watch Love Island much?
I'm a 44-year-old man.
I mean, my dad used to love Love Island, actually. And so did my grandma.
That don't surprise me.
Megan, she got a lot of backlash herself, actually, when she went on Love Island and when she came up, because she did, like, stripping. And she now does OnlyFans as well.
And do you think she's going to push it to the limits you have?
She does a lot more, like, underwear and, like, no nudity. But still sexy things, just not perhaps 18-year-olds.
And is this the first time you would have slept with her?
Yes.
Do you think she's going to be intimidated by you?
No.
Have you sort of built up a bit of a rapport beforehand?
Yeah, I spoke over messages, but a lot of the time when you do OnlyFans collabs or you work with people in the industry, you don't really meet them beforehand. It's exchanging messages on social media. You set a date and a time, you turn up, and that is it. Sometimes you work with someone, don't really get along, but you know, you make good content and that's the end of it. Other times you could really get along with someone, the content is amazing, and you keep in contact and become friends.
And this scene you're going to shoot, is it Megan?
Yes.
From Love Island. Mm-hmm. Where will people be able to see this scene? Because I'm sure people are thinking, where can I watch that?
For sure. It'll be on OnlyFans and there'll be also stuff on Instagram and Twitter.
Your OnlyFans or hers?
Both. So when you do a collab, both of you get the content. So one person could earn a lot of money from the content and the other one earns no money, and you do not share the money or the profits whatsoever.
So she's going to be the last person you sleep with in the UK?
Yes.
And then you're flying to the States?
To LA, yes.
Okay, so what does the next year do for you?
Next year, going to spring break in March. That's a lot of college boys, so my favourite hobby. The world record. I'll be back in the UK doing freshers again. And then apart from that, I don't know. It's a very exciting year ahead. And
where do you see yourself going sort of long term? I mean, when are you going to stop having sex with so many men?
Whenever I stop enjoying it. There's no end date. There's no sell-by date for sure. If I want to do it until I'm really old, I can do that. But if I ever stop waking up thinking, I'm not enjoying this anymore, or the hate's getting to me a little bit, or, you know, I feel like a Sahara desert down there, I will stop. But whilst I'm enjoying it and having fun, I don't want to slow down. Have you got a figure in your mind? What figure, monetary terms, you want to reach? Like how many million? Well, next year I want to be earning $1 million a month. I want to be hitting about 12 to 13 mil next year. That's the plan. But it's not necessarily needed. I'm more than comfortable with the money I'm earning now. So, and can you see yourself travelling to places like Dubai and doing it here, there and everywhere? Dubai's a bit too flashy for me. I don't think I like it. I prefer the more like beach, quiet. Relaxed. Yeah, 100%. And I suppose places where there's plenty of students. Yeah, that also helps. Well, this has been a fascinating conversation and I fully appreciate how open and honest you've been. I mean, to round it up, finish it off, I sincerely hope you remain safe. You don't ever come across a lunatic that wants to hurt and harm you, because they are out there. 100%. And
if there's anything more you can do to ensure that these 18-year-old lads are kept safe and protected and they're not being exploited, I would encourage that. And I would love to sit here with you again, maybe in a year's time or 2 years' time or even 5 years' time, just to see where you've gone from now to then and see if anything's changed. And just things creep into your mind and you don't even realise them creeping in. And just make sure you're not one of these 40-year-old ex-porn stars that's severely damaged with a drug habit. Really look after yourself.
Yeah. A lot of the people blame the industry. It's not the industry, it's down to yourself. If you're not mentally strong, get out of it. Don't blame the industry. And a lot of people think there's going to be some sort of dramatic ending for me, or, you know, that I'm not going to be able to put up with it. But like, there was a book I was reading and it said, for you to reach fame, it's not about taking the good parts. It's how well you can manage the hate. That's how well you're going to succeed in life.
You're a solid girl.
Thank you.
I'll give you that. And is there anything you want to say just to round it off? Any final message to anybody watching? And it can be whatever you like.
No, I think it's just the main thing obviously at the moment, I'm being called a predator. If you think your 18-year-old son doesn't want to sleep with me, then you really need to get out from living under a rock. It's their bodies, they're consenting. And if you have an issue, up the age of consent. Or send the government in with me to join me in the bedroom, because I'm happy either way.
Bonnie, it's been interesting. Thanks for being so honest and open. Good health and good luck.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.